Hey everybody, it's Marshall Monkey here, and Gotham has returned. This is going to be my Season 3, Episode 15 review, How the Riddler Got His Name. Now, one of the things that I love about Gotham that the other DC shows don't have is that Gotham feels like a comic book as you're watching it. It's just so fantastic how much it feels like you're reading the comics. And I love that Gotham, the writers understand the source material and they're able to turn it into live action very well. But this episode, though it did feel like I was reading a comic, a lot of the writing in this episode was so off. Also, the logic behind a lot of it was just poor. I didn't like it. We'll talk all about that. But this episode mainly focuses on the Riddler. I mean, it literally is titled, How the Riddler Got His Name. And he is called the Riddler by the end of the episode, so that's exciting, and I can't wait for Corey Michael Smith to dive into the character. But you gotta know some things before you start playing the actual version of the Riddler, because this episode got it terribly wrong. So one of the things that the Riddler is known for is that, as a Batman villain anyway, is that he uses his sharp intellect to, he uses it as a weapon. And another thing that the Riddler, to me, what is one of the biggest, characteristics about the Riddler is that he's not like the Riddler in the show. The Riddler in the, that I'm used to is very sure of himself, and that's what makes him so dangerous, is that he knows what he wants, he's very smart, he's ahead of the game, usually, when it comes to Batman, because he's a very smart person, he's a very smart criminal, and that gets him ahead of the game when he plans his schemes for Batman. So, in this, you see Corey Michael Smith's character, you see Ed struggling to become the Riddler because he just doesn't have a purpose. And I feel like this isn't because Ed is, going through this, villain crisis. It's that the writers are losing the character. The character's very lost in terms of the show, especially with the whole hallucinations of Robin Lord Taylor. And I feel like that's part of the problem, is that they're using all their time to have this Penguin-Riddler relationship. I feel like when they killed Penguin, when Riddler shot him, I feel like Robin Lord Taylor shouldn't have returned in this episode. Yeah, I feel like he should have waited out. The end credit scene of him returning, he could have been in, but the rest of the episode, I wish he wasn't in so they could focus more on Ed, because the writers are so lost with the character. You can tell that they don't know what to do at this point with Riddler, and it really shows. I'm hoping they have a plan for the future episodes, because right now, it just shows so much that they don't know what they're doing with him. And they don't know where to take him. And that's the problem with the Riddler, is that the Riddler isn't really that great of a Batman villain. He doesn't have much to work with. You have to be really creative if you're going to use the Riddler as a main villain, which is kind of what, in my opinion, the Arkham games, the Arkham series, has gotten so well with their Riddler, is that it's just very creative, and they make the character work. And here, you just don't see that happening. So I'm hoping that they can get past this, because I think that Corey Michael Smith is quite a good actor, and I feel like he does the character very well. But one of the things I didn't like is that, first of all, it's weird how Lucius, and Bullock couldn't guess who was the killer over the phone, because the voice that Riddler used was the same voice that he had. Ed used the same voice, so I don't know how they couldn't have guessed that it was Ed. Especially when he came later on to the graduation and he talked to Bullock in that same voice. I'm like, Bullock, how can you not hear it? How can you not see that that's Ed? So that was an issue that I had with the storyline in this episode. Also, Lucius was on the phone with Riddler, and he was like, come alone upstairs or else everyone dies. And he didn't tell any of the cops. Lucius didn't tell the cops, hey, I have to go up alone. He just ran upstairs. No way that the cops were able to hear that conversation over the phone. So you would imagine that they would have to run up with Lucius upstairs. So I don't see how that makes sense. I don't know, it just threw me off. But like I said, it feels like a comic book while I'm watching the episode in some parts. The scene where Bullock was tied up over the staircase felt like a comic book move. It felt like a trap set in a comic. I was like, oh, this feels so great to see comic book inspiration for the Riddler character. So they got to work on the Riddler a little bit, because I love Corey Michael Smith as the actor for the Riddler. I just don't like how they're writing him. Now, Bruce had an interesting storyline this episode to where he was tricked into meeting Selina at a fake meeting. and he used some of his Batman moves on Sonny and his goons. I loved seeing that because I think Bruce is developing quite well into Batman. I still think it's a little early, in my opinion, to turn him into Batman because he's going to be meeting Ra's al Ghul soon. I think that's a little bit too early because we're only on season 3. So I feel like a season 5 or maybe season 6 would have been a good call at the earliest. But I guess, I guess sooner than later? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, but I think that Bruce is developing quite well. I'm kind of upset that he got knocked out so easily by his clone, but we'll see what happens. If Alfred doesn't guess that it's his clone after, like, at least 2 episodes, I'm going to be upset, because it's like, Alfred, you've known Bruce all his life. You should know whether or not he's a clone version. Gordon was staying with Frank, his uncle. We know that Frank is a part of the Court of Owls. We know that Frank is a bad guy, because I don't think he's a good guy, even though he said he was. But because he's been doing dirty dealings. I mean, I guess he could be like a triple agent, and this whole time he could be fooling the court, but I feel like he's not. I feel like he's just trying to lure Gordon in for their plan. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that storyline. I'm excited to see if Gordon takes the bait. Now, Penguin, I don't know how I felt about this. So Penguin was discovered at the end of the episode, and he was alive, perfectly fine. Ivy's not a doctor or anything, so I don't know why he's perfectly fine, because he got shot in the chest, close up too. So I don't know how he could miss all those organs and still be alive. I don't know if Ivy's a doctor and she has magical healing powers now, but I just think that doesn't make any sense at all. But I do think it's going to be interesting to see how they explain that, because I'm really waiting for that explanation of how he's still alive. I don't get it, but I did like that Ivy was the one that found him. I think that was really interesting. I do like Ivy quite a bit, and she's a really underused character. So I think that her finding Penguin will make her, I guess, more productive as a character. So that'll be interesting. I still want to know, how is he not dead? I don't know how that's possible. So overall, there was a lot of flaws in this episode, but I feel like it was, I guess, okay. It wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't the worst, I don't think. There's been worse Gotham episodes before in the past. But what did you guys think? Comment down below. Scream this video out to the world by sharing it down below. Don't forget to like and favorite this video. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, I will see you guys later for some more videos. Have a good day. Bye-bye.